It started small, like a pebble falling into a pond, barely noticeable at first. Amy had always been a creature of routine, home for dinner at 6, watching TV together on the couch, no surprises. Lately, though, the ripples began. She'd work late more often, her smile seemed more forced, and there were evenings when I couldn't even get a straight answer about where she'd been. It was easy to tell myself it was nothing. People get busy, right? I mean, we've been married 8 years. You go through phases. She'd just been more stressed, maybe, but the doubts kept creeping in, small whispers I couldn't ignore. One night, her phone buzzed while we were eating dinner. She'd left it on the kitchen counter, and I caught a glimpse of the screen. I didn't mean to look, but there it was, a text from a name I didn't recognize. I miss you. Can't wait to see you again soon. I felt my stomach drop, a cold chill creeping up my spine. I tried not to show it. I played it cool. Who's that? I asked, trying to sound casual. Oh, it's nothing, she said, brushing it off with a laugh. Just a colleague from work. Don't worry about it. She grabbed her phone, slipped it into her purse, and I never saw the name again. But that was the thing. I did worry about it. That text stayed with me. The way she'd reacted, too. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like she hadn't just dropped a bomb in front of me. I tried to tell myself it wasn't anything. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just paranoid. But that feeling, it wouldn't leave. It was like a knot in my chest, getting tighter every time she'd come home late or go out with friends without telling me where. Her social media was the same, vague updates, nothing personal, and never a mention of me anymore. And every time I asked her about it, she'd deflect. Everything's fine, Mark, she'd say, her voice a little too quick, a little too practiced. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. But every time I looked at her, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. Maybe it was just my insecurities. Or maybe it was the truth. But if it was the truth, I wasn't sure I was ready to face it. I'd always thought I knew Amy better than anyone, but lately I wasn't so sure. I couldn't help but wonder if maybe I was the last one to know her. The more I tried to shake the feeling, the stronger it became. The little things were adding up, stacking in a way I couldn't ignore anymore. There was something off. I could feel it every time she'd leave for one of those weekends with friends. No details, no updates, just gone. Each time she'd come back, she'd act like nothing had changed, but I couldn't unsee what I was starting to piece together. I wasn't going to ask her anymore, not after the last few times when she'd just brushed me off. I had to see for myself. It started with the bank statements. I don't know why I never thought to look before, but there it was, like a slap in the face. Hotel charges. 2 nights in a row, in a city I knew she'd never mentioned visiting. Expensive dinners at places that weren't even on our radar. I stared at the charges, my heart pounding in my chest. Each one was like a nail in the coffin of everything I thought I knew about her. I'd been blind, and now that the door had cracked open, I couldn't stop myself from looking. I wasn't sure if I was just furious or completely, utterly crushed. It was both, actually. I couldn't believe it, but I also couldn't pretend I didn't see what was in front of me. The problem was, the receipts didn't have names on them, nothing concrete. I couldn't just walk up to her and accuse her, not yet. So I started digging. I'd bring the bills to work with me. My break periods gave me the perfect excuse to stay late and look through the old emails, the texts. Each click of my mouse made my stomach twist tighter. And sure enough, I found more. Expensive dinners, trips, flights to cities she never told me about. It was like I was chasing down a shadow, and every time I thought I had it cornered, it slipped away. But then I found something that stopped me cold. I traced the details of one of the hotel stays. It led me to a place near a luxury resort, a place I knew damn well she wouldn't have gone unless it was special. And my heart dropped, because I knew. I knew she'd been with someone else. I couldn't prove it yet, but I didn't need to. The gut feeling I'd been ignoring all this time was screaming at me now. She wasn't just busy or stressed. She was lying. She was lying to me. I spent a few more days in a haze, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do with this. Should I confront her right away, or gather more evidence until there was no way she could deny it? I didn't have a clear answer, but I knew I had to do something. I needed help. So I called up Tom, a colleague of mine. He'd been through a messy divorce a couple of years ago. I figured if anyone had advice, it'd be him. "Mark, listen to me," he said, after I'd laid out the details. "I know you want to flip out, I get it, but you need to stay calm. Document everything. Make sure you have proof, every scrap of it. If you don't, she'll just talk her way out of it." I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to rage, to confront her, to break something. But I also knew Tom was right. I had to be smart about it. "So what? I just keep digging? Keep tracking everything she does?" I asked, barely containing the frustration in my voice. "Exactly," he said. "Don't confront her until you've got it all. You've got to be methodical about this, Mark. The more you gather, the harder it'll be for her to lie her way out of it." I didn't like it, but I couldn't deny it either. I wasn't just dealing with betrayal. I was dealing with someone who knew how to cover her tracks. So I kept going. I stayed up late, combing through receipts, messages, flight records. Every time I thought I had enough, I found something else, something new. And with each discovery, the knot in my chest grew tighter. This wasn't just a one-time thing. This had been going on for months. I had to know how deep this went. I wasn't about to give her an easy out, not when I was this close to the truth. I didn't know what I was going to do when I had it all, but I knew I couldn't stop until I did. And maybe, just maybe, I'd finally find the proof that would make her face what she'd done. I didn't know what I was expecting to find when I pulled up the footage, but when it hit me hard. I'd been digging for days, emails, messages, receipts, but it was the video that made everything real. It wasn't just some vague evidence anymore, it was them. I'd paid a little extra to get access to the cameras outside that restaurant, the one she'd told me she'd gone to dinner with friends a few weeks ago. I knew she'd lied about that. The restaurant was too upscale for casual friends' dinners, so I dug deeper. The footage was grainy, but clear enough. The timestamp didn't lie. There they were. Amy and Derrick. Derrick. I froze, staring at the screen, my brain trying to process what I was seeing. Derrick wasn't just any guy. He was someone I knew, someone I had called a friend. We'd played golf together, gone to a few business dinners. Hell, I even trusted him. Once. Now I felt like someone had ripped my chest open. The video wasn't a simple hello between old friends. They weren't just running into each other by coincidence. They walked into that restaurant side by side, Amy's head tilted toward him, smiling at something he said. It wasn't just friendly, the way they looked at each other, hell, the way he touched her arm as they sat down. It was the kind of thing I'd never seen her do with me, not in years at least. I could feel the bile rising in the back of my throat. This wasn't a one-time slip. This was something else, something ongoing, something she'd been hiding. I didn't need to see more to know that this was it. This was what I'd been sensing all along. My wife, the woman I'd built a life with, had been sleeping with Derrick, my friend, the man I trusted. I closed my eyes for a second, swallowing hard, trying to push back the wave of rage and heartbreak that threatened to swallow me whole. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the damn laptop across the room, but I didn't. Instead, I leaned back in my chair, trying to collect myself. There was no turning back now. I opened the folder again, where I'd been gathering everything: texts, hotel receipts, dinner bills, and now this video. I couldn't unsee it. My hands were shaking as I clicked through each piece of evidence, every bit of proof she'd left behind. I scrolled through the messages. The words were clear as day, and each one twisted the knife deeper into my gut. "I miss you. Can't wait to see you again soon. Dinner tomorrow?" I told Mark I was working late. He's so clueless. I couldn't stop reading, even though every word made me want to break something. I saved the video, backed it up, stored everything away securely. I wasn't just gathering evidence anymore. I was building my case. I couldn't just confront her without everything laid out. She'd lie, or at least try to justify it. I couldn't let that happen. As I sat there, watching them on the screen again, I knew what I had to do, but I couldn't move too fast. Not yet. I wasn't going to confront her on impulse. That wasn't my style. The rage bubbling inside me had to be controlled. I had to let the evidence speak for itself. My phone buzzed. It was her. "Hey babe, I'm gonna be late tonight. Dinner with a client. Don't wait up." I stared at the screen. That was it. The same damn lie she'd told me 100 times before. I thought about texting back, asking where exactly she was, but I didn't. Instead, I hit delete. I was done asking. I already knew everything I needed to know. I couldn't bring myself to call her, not yet. I wasn't ready to see her face, to hear whatever excuse she'd try to spin. I needed more time to process, to hold the control in my hands before I lost it all in front of her. But the feeling of betrayal was there, sinking deep into my bones. I didn't know how to fix this. There was no fixing it. What we had was gone, destroyed by lies and secrets. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the video again. Derrick and Amy sitting there, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. It was clear to me now. I wasn't just watching a couple share a meal. I was watching the truth unfold, and it was ugly. I could confront her now, but I didn't want to. Not yet. Not until I had it all. Until I had the last bit of evidence to make sure she couldn't escape this. This wasn't about getting her to admit it. It was about showing her that I knew, showing her the weight of what she'd done. And when I was ready, I'd make sure she couldn't lie her way out of it. I spent the next few days putting everything together. I wasn't about to confront Amy without every shred of evidence in my hands. This wasn't about some emotional outburst. This was about making her see that I knew exactly what she'd been doing. I wanted her to feel every ounce of that betrayal. The first thing I did was organize everything meticulously. Texts, receipts, emails, the video footage. It all needed to be laid out in a way that she couldn't spin it. It was hard, though. With every piece I reviewed, I felt my stomach churn. It was one thing to suspect, but another thing entirely to see it all in black and white. The text messages, those casual lies, the receipts, all of them adding up to weekend trips and dinners that were never part of the life we'd built. And Derrick's face, smiling in that video, sitting across from my wife like they'd been in on some secret I hadn't been a part of. It took hours, days, but I didn't stop. I was relentless. I backed up the video footage to a USB drive in case something happened to my computer. It wasn't like I didn't trust Amy, but if she was willing to lie about this, I wasn't about to let her destroy any of my proof. I didn't want to go to my friends. I didn't want to tell anyone. This was mine to handle. But I did ask my nephew Jake to help me with the tech stuff. He's one of those kids who knows the ins and outs of every system, and he was good about keeping things quiet. "I'll help, Uncle Mark," he said when I told him what I needed. His eyes flickered with curiosity, but he didn't ask questions. He knew better. I watched as Jake transferred everything to the USB, securing it and making sure the data was encrypted. It felt odd to trust someone with the evidence. But then again, he wasn't the one who destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. Once I had it all organized, I spent my nights sifting through the receipts and documents. The weight of it all settled into my chest like a stone I couldn't shake off. Every dinner bill, every hotel booking, every text was a reminder of what she had been doing behind my back. The thing that hit me the hardest wasn't the affair itself. It was the betrayal of trust. Amy had been lying to me, pretending everything was fine while she was out with Derrick, making plans with him like he was the one who mattered. I'd been a fool, walking around blind, thinking I knew my wife. I thought I was a good husband. I thought I was enough. I couldn't sleep. I was consumed by it all, but in the middle of this mess, I still had to show up at school every day. I was still a teacher, still responsible for my students. It was the only thing keeping me from losing my mind completely. They relied on me, some of them more than they probably knew. And honestly, it gave me something to focus on, something to hold on to while everything else in my life was falling apart. By the time I walked into school every morning, my head was spinning with thoughts of what I had to do next. I'd try to push everything down, lock it away. But the evidence was always there, right in my mind. I'd catch myself staring out of the classroom window, wondering how long it would be before I had to make that decision. I didn't want to confront Amy in the heat of my anger, but I knew the confrontation was coming. It had to. I wasn't going to keep pretending. I wasn't going to keep playing this game with her. The more evidence I gathered, the less power she had to deny it. The more I collected, the more I realized that I was preparing for a battle I wasn't sure I was ready for. But I had to be. Each day that passed, I felt the tension building inside me. The truth was right there, and I was close to facing it. I had the power now. She didn't know that, but I did. And the next time we spoke, it wasn't going to be about her lying her way through another dinner or weekend getaway. It was going to be about me taking back my life, about holding her accountable for everything she'd done. I wasn't going to let this go, no matter how much it hurt. She needed to know that I knew, and when I finally said the words, she'd have nothing left to say. I wasn't going to beg for answers, and I wasn't going to give her the chance to explain. This was bigger than that. It was coming. I could feel it. I just needed to keep everything together until then. I chose the night before the weekend. A weeknight when the tension would be at its highest. I had everything laid out, organized in a manila envelope on the dining table, the same table we'd shared hundreds of dinners at, back when everything felt normal. I wasn't sure why I chose that spot, but it felt right. It was where we'd spent our best times. Now, it felt like the most fitting place for this moment of reckoning. The envelope wasn't some dramatic gesture. It wasn't a show. It was a statement. Every text, every receipt, every piece of evidence I'd gathered, neatly arranged. The video of Derrick and Amy sitting together at that restaurant. So damn casual, like they hadn't been destroying everything. Like I wasn't supposed to notice. I didn't need to say a word. The truth was sitting there, staring her in the face. I didn't feel fear, not exactly. I wasn't sure what I felt. Calm, maybe. Methodical. I wasn't going to let my anger take over. This was about me taking control back. She'd robbed me of everything I thought I had. But now I was going to tear it down, brick by brick, and leave nothing behind. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my mind buzzing with everything that had led up to this. The plan was set. It had to happen soon. The only thing left was for me to pull the trigger. Then I dreamt. I dreamt of our wedding day. I could smell the flowers, feel the weight of the tux on my shoulders, see her walking down the aisle in that white dress. She was so beautiful. We'd made promises then, promises I thought were sacred. I dreamt of our vacations, the laughter we shared, those simple, easy days when it felt like we were invincible, just us against the world. I remember the warmth in her eyes back then, the way she held me when we danced, the way she'd always joke about how she couldn't wait to grow old with me, how we'd laugh at our kids one day, sharing the same kind of love we had. Those days felt like they were a lifetime ago. When I woke up, the weight of that dream hung around me like a cloud, and it hit me. I didn't recognize the woman she'd become. Not anymore, not even close. There was no connection left between us, no spark, no warmth, just a cold distance. The woman in my dream, the one I'd married, didn't exist anymore. That version of her, the one I loved, was gone. She'd been replaced by someone who could lie, betray, and destroy everything without even blinking. And that's when I knew. The evidence wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It wasn't about catching her in the act or making her face the truth. It was about something deeper, something bigger. It was about the complete erosion of everything we'd built. The relationship we'd had was nothing now. It had crumbled piece by piece, and what was left wasn't worth saving. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. I got up and moved through the house like I was on autopilot. I checked the envelope again, making sure everything was in place. My hands didn't shake anymore. I had control. It was time to face the truth, even if it meant tearing apart the last shred of what I thought was a life worth holding on to. This wasn't just about catching her cheating. This was about ending everything. The lies, the distance, the broken trust. And the worst part? I wasn't even sure I wanted to fix it. Part of me knew that confronting her wasn't going to bring back what we once had. It was gone. It had been gone for a while. I glanced at the clock. It was late, but I didn't care. The waiting was over. I was ready. The confrontation would happen tomorrow. And when it did, I wasn't going to beg for answers. I wasn't going to cry or scream. I was going to let her face the facts, the undeniable truth of everything she'd done. I wasn't just doing this for me anymore. I was doing it for the man I used to be, the one who believed in love, in trust, in honesty. I took one last look at the dining table. The manila envelope was waiting, its contents holding everything I needed. The truth was set to come out, whether she was ready or not. I was ready. It was time. She came in late, just like I knew she would. The front door creaked as she pushed it open, and I heard her laughter from the hallway before I even saw her. That light, almost tipsy giggle, the kind that made her sound carefree. It made my blood boil. She was acting like nothing had changed, like everything was fine. I didn't move. I just sat there, staring at the envelope on the table. The envelope that held everything, Every little lie she'd told, every excuse she'd given, every time she'd smiled at me like she wasn't lying through her teeth. Her footsteps stopped in the doorway, and she poked her head around, still laughing. "Mark, you're up?" Her voice was light, casual, like she didn't have a care in the world, like she wasn't coming home from spending the night with Derrick, like she wasn't about to face the truth. I didn't say anything. I just watched her, calm on the surface, but underneath, everything was ready to explode. She walked in, swaying a little, her eyes bright from too much wine. "Geez, what's with the serious look?" she asked, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "Are you mad? Did I miss something?" I didn't answer her right away. I just picked up the manila envelope, feeling the weight of it in my hands, and set it on the table in front of her. The sound of the paper sliding across the wood was the only noise in the room, sharp and final. It felt like the world paused for a moment. She eyed it, then glanced back at me, her expression a mix of confusion and amusement. "What's this? Some weird dramatic gesture?" she scoffed, tossing her purse on the chair next to her. "I'm too tired for this, Mark." She started to reach for the envelope, still acting like nothing was wrong. But I wasn't going to let her off the hook this time. I just watched as she opened it, slowly, with a smirk still playing on her lips. But when she saw what was inside, the smirk faltered. The first thing she pulled out was a receipt, a hotel receipt from a weekend she'd been working late. Then came the dinner bills, expensive places, the ones I'd never seen before. There were texts next, those same damn texts I'd read 100 times. "I miss you, can't wait to see you again soon." And the final blow, the video footage, the clip of her and Derrick laughing, walking into that restaurant together, sitting down, and looking like they had all the time in the world to be together. The video froze for a second as she pulled it out, and I saw her face. The shock was immediate. The amusement drained from her eyes. She blinked a few times, her fingers trembling as she flipped through the pages. It was too much, all at once. The truth laid bare, unavoidably real. Her face went from confusion to disbelief, and then guilt. For a second, just a second, I thought I saw something like remorse flash across her face, but it was quickly replaced by defensive anger. "Mark, what is this? This is insane." She stammered, trying to keep her voice steady. She looked up at me, eyes wide, like I was the one who had done something wrong. "No, Amy," I said quietly, still not raising my voice. "This is real. This is everything. And you can't talk your way out of it." Her eyes darted between the evidence, her lips moving, but no words coming out. She seemed to be looking for something, some explanation that would make all of this go away. But there was nothing left. The truth was right in front of her, undeniable. You don't understand," she said finally, her voice a little shakier now, the confidence slipping away. "This isn't what it looks like. I swear it's not like that." I shook my head. "Stop. I'm not interested in the excuses. It's all right there. All the proof you need. Don't even try." Her hands clenched around the papers. And for the first time, she didn't know what to say. The woman who had always been able to control every conversation, twist every situation to her advantage, was finally speechless. It was the first time in a long time that I felt a shift in power. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't losing control. I wasn't pleading for an explanation. I was just standing there, watching her unravel, watching her mask crack, watching her try to hold on to something that was already gone. She looked at me, her eyes flicking between me and the evidence, and finally she broke. Her voice softened, almost too much. "Mark, I don't know what you want me to say. It wasn't just—" "I don't need you to say anything," I interrupted, my voice steady. "I just needed you to see what I know, and now you do." For the first time, I felt something other than the gut-wrenching pain of betrayal. I felt power. I'd taken control of this. I wasn't the one left in the dark anymore. She was. And there was nothing she could do to fix it. Her face went pale, and she stared at the table, trying to pull herself together, but it was too late. The truth had already broken through. She sat there, staring at the table like she was trying to piece together a way out, some excuse that would make this all go away. But I wasn't offering her that. I wasn't interested in hearing it. "Amy," I said, my voice as calm as I could make it, though every word felt like it was being forced through a clenched throat. I'm not asking for an explanation. I already know what's going on. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to lie anymore. Her eyes flickered with surprise, then shot up to meet mine. There was a flash of anger, followed by something else. Shock, maybe? She wasn't used to seeing me like this, so cold, so done. She'd always been the one in control. She'd always had the answers, the explanations. But tonight, she had nothing. You're not even going to listen? She stammered. Mark, you don't understand. It was just a phase. A stupid, stupid phase. It wasn't like I... Stop. My voice was firmer now, cutting through her rambling. I'm done with the excuses. It wasn't a phase. You've been doing this for months, and I've been the fool, believing every lie you told me. I shook my head, a bitter laugh escaping me. I'm not interested in hearing that it wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal, Amy. You've been sleeping with another man. You lied to my face about everything. She opened her mouth to respond, but I could already tell she wasn't sure what to say. The words were stuck in her throat, and her face had gone pale, but she wasn't ready to give up. You don't understand what this means, she said, her voice wavering now, her hands clutching at the edge of the table like she was trying to steady herself. I didn't think it would come to this, but now you're just going to throw everything away? The house, our friends, all of it? She looked at me, her eyes wide, like she thought I was still going to care about the house or the things we'd built. The house? I scoffed, feeling the sting of her words. She still thought that was what mattered. It's just a building, Amy. A place. We were supposed to be the home, but you tore that down. You wrecked this marriage. Her voice became more desperate. Mark, I'm not trying to hurt you. I never meant for it to go this far. Don't. I cut her off again, my patience wearing thinner by the second. You're not going to guilt me into feeling sorry for you. What's done is done. She sat back, her gaze shifting like she was trying to regain her footing in this conversation. But she couldn't. Not now, not after everything. The woman who could talk her way out of anything, who had manipulated every situation to her advantage, was now fumbling with her words, scrambling for a way to save face. But it was too late. You can't just... She started, and then, as if some last-ditch effort to regain control, she blurted, I'll fight for everything, Mark. The house, the car, our friends, everything. I'll make sure you don't walk away from this without a fight. I didn't flinch. I didn't react. I just sat there, watching her, calm and steady, even though my insides were a storm. You can try, I said, my voice colder now than I even expected it to be. But that's not what this is about. You think I care about the house, the assets, the money? I let out a long breath, the weight of the past months finally lifting off my shoulders as I spoke. I'm done with all of that, Amy. You can have whatever you want, the house, the stuff. But I'm done, and I'll make sure everyone knows why. She blinked, looking confused and angry, and I knew she didn't understand. She didn't get it. She still thought this was about things, material things. But I wasn't fighting for that anymore. I was fighting for something else entirely, my dignity, my life, my peace of mind. The marriage is over, I said, the words finally feeling right, feeling final. I'm not going to beg for your forgiveness. I don't need your excuses. I'm walking away, Amy. You can't control me anymore. I'm taking my life back. Her face shifted, the anger giving way to something else. Hurt, maybe? Regret? It didn't matter. The woman I used to know, the one I could talk to and understand, was long gone. You really think you can just walk away from all of this? She asked, her voice quiet now, shaky. You think you can just erase everything we had? I'm not erasing anything, I said, standing up from the table. I'm just done pretending it was ever real. She didn't say anything else. She just stared at me, like she was seeing me for the first time, like she'd finally realized I wasn't the man she thought I was. But the truth was, I was exactly who I'd always been. I just wasn't going to let her walk all over me anymore. I walked out of the room, leaving her there, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. It was done. By Monday morning, I was done with waiting. I couldn't undo what had happened, but I could make damn sure the world knew what kind of person Amy really was. The truth didn't belong just in our house. It needed to be out there. So, I made the call. I picked up the phone and dialed the number for her firm, her high-end marketing company, the one she'd been so proud of. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't conflicted. I had one purpose, and it was time to follow through. When the HR department picked up, I introduced myself, keeping my voice steady, calm. I'm Mark Thompson. I'm calling about Amy Thompson, your marketing executive. There was a slight hesitation on the other end. Then the woman asked, "How can I help you?" I leaned in, steadying my breath. "I've got evidence that your employee, Amy Thompson, has been involved in a long-term affair with a man named Derrick Walker, a local businessman. I have all the proof you'll need: texts, hotel receipts, video footage." There was a long pause. I could hear her shift in her chair, the sound of papers shuffling maybe, as she processed what I'd said. I see. Please hold for a moment." I didn't hold. I didn't wait. I already knew the wheels were turning. By the time I hung up, I felt lighter. It wasn't about vengeance. It was about justice, about making sure Amy couldn't walk away from what she'd done, hiding behind her high-powered job and pretty face. I wasn't going to let her manipulate the situation any longer. The word spread fast, faster than I'd expected. Within hours, it was clear. Amy's reputation was damaged beyond repair. She had always been seen as the golden girl at work, the employee who could do no wrong. Now, she was just another office scandal. It was almost surreal watching her world crumble from the sidelines. I kept checking in on the fallout, hearing the whispers from mutual friends, co-workers who had no idea what was going on but now had a front-row seat to the destruction. Her colleagues began to distance themselves, their smiles tight, conversations awkward. No one wanted to be associated with the woman who'd betrayed not only her marriage but her professional integrity too. I watched it all, and it was satisfying. A sense of relief settled over me, and it felt almost too easy. Watching her unravel in front of everyone was the last piece of justice I needed. I didn't gloat, but there was a cold satisfaction in knowing she was finally paying for everything she'd done. She couldn't hide anymore. And then there was Derrick. His company was in damage control mode. I saw his name pop up in a few local business emails, meetings getting canceled, phone calls from people who had started pulling their support. It wasn't just Amy's reputation on the line. Derrick's business was taking a hit too. I'd been watching it all with a detached sort of interest, but a part of me was glad he was being held accountable too. I'd never been close to Derrick, not the way I thought I was anyway, but the fact that he had been a part of our lives, pretending to be a friend while sleeping with my wife, made it that much worse. His reputation was taking a hit, and I didn't feel an ounce of sympathy for him. In fact, it felt deserved. He didn't get to walk away from this without consequences. I thought I'd feel bad for her, for the way things were spiraling out of control, but I didn't. I didn't feel anything but relief. It wasn't about vengeance, it was about exposing the truth. It was about letting Amy see that there was no way out, no quick fix, no pretending anymore. Her office emails would start to reflect her new status soon enough. Calls from her clients would drop off. Those coworkers who used to sing her praises would start avoiding her in the hallways. The bubble she'd spent so long building around herself was gone. And I was just done. Watching it unfold was like stepping back and watching a house of cards tumble. But it wasn't just satisfaction, it was closure. I had no sympathy for what came next. Amy had made her bed, and now everyone else would know what kind of person she really was. The news hit fast. Amy was officially terminated from her job, just as I'd expected. Violation of company policies. It wasn't even the affair itself that got her fired. It was the damage to the company's reputation, the risk she'd posed by having her personal life spill into the workplace. But that didn't matter to me. It didn't change anything. Her career was over, just like her marriage. Derrick wasn't safe either. His business partners started pulling back, distancing themselves. I heard he was scrambling, trying to do damage control, making apologies he didn't mean. He'd probably lose more clients, maybe even some of his business. And I didn't care. Not one bit. He deserved it. I didn't gloat, though. That's not what this was about. Watching Amy's career implode wasn't about revenge. It was about making sure the truth was out there. It was about justice. And honestly, it gave me the closure I needed. I felt oddly calm in the wake of everything. It was like a weight had been lifted off me. There was no more pretending, no more lies. Amy's reputation was in tatters, but that wasn't my problem anymore. I had my own life to rebuild, and I was finally free to do that. I started reconnecting with friends and colleagues, people I had pushed away for years, thinking I needed to focus on my marriage, thinking I needed to fix something that was beyond saving. Those nights, those conversations, they felt different now. Real. There was no more tension hanging over me. No more pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I'd forgotten what it was like to feel normal, to feel like myself. Even at work, things felt lighter. I was teaching again, really teaching, without the constant weight of my home life pulling me down. The students looked at me differently now, not just as their teacher, but as a person who'd been through something, who'd come out the other side. And I realized how much I'd neglected my own happiness, trying to keep something alive that was already dead. The divorce process started soon after. The lawyers got involved, and the talks about assets began. I didn't fight for the house. I didn't care about the car or the vacation fund we'd been building. The only thing I wanted was my freedom. Everything else felt like a distraction now, something to be divided, handled, and put behind me. Amy was welcome to whatever she thought she was entitled to, but I wasn't asking for anything, just peace. There were moments, brief flashes, when the pain of betrayal would hit me. It still stung, those images of her with Derrick, the lies, the years of my life I'd spent blind to what was really going on. It wasn't something you could just forget. But as the days went by, I felt more and more like the man I used to be, the one who had dreams, who had goals that weren't centered around saving a failing marriage. It was strange, but I didn't miss her, not the way I thought I would, and that realization, as hard as it was, gave me even more peace. The chapter was over. The life I'd known, the life I thought I had, was gone, and now I was free to write the next one,